Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Daily English Lab podcast. You know what makes you sound like a beginner in English? It's not your accent. It's not grammar mistakes. It's one tiny word you're probably using right now. Very. Very good. Very bad. Very tired. Very important. Here's the truth. Native speakers almost never say very. And when you keep using it, you're missing out on hundreds of powerful words that would make you sound confident, natural, and honestly, a bit impressive. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to show you 30 words that will completely transform the way you speak English. These aren't textbook words. These are the exact words native speakers use in everyday conversation. And by the end of this video, you'll never need to say very again. Sound good? Let's dive in. Hey everyone, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Your Name, and on this channel, we focus on real English, the kind that native speakers actually use, not the boring stuff from textbooks. Now, why am I so passionate about eliminating very from your vocabulary? Because here's what happens. When you rely on very, you're taking the lazy route. You're using a weak word to try to make another weak word stronger. But native speakers, they skip that step entirely. They use one powerful word instead of two weak ones. Think about it. What sounds more impressive? I'm very tired, or I'm exhausted. What sounds more professional? This is very important, or this is crucial. Here's what you're going to learn today. First, 30 powerful alternatives to common very plus adjective combinations. Second, why native speakers prefer these words. Third, exactly when and how to use them naturally. Fourth, common mistakes learners make with advanced vocabulary. And fifth, memory tricks so you'll actually remember these words. This video is about 25 minutes, but trust me, these 25 minutes will upgrade your English more than months of traditional studying. Before we start, I want to know, what's one thing you always say in English that you know sounds too simple? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and I might even make a video about your suggestion. And if you want more real English lessons like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You'll thank yourself later. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the most common use of very when you want to show that something is extreme. You know what I'm talking about? Very hot, very cold, very angry. When something isn't just a little bit of something, but really intense, native speakers use what I call amplifier words. These are single words that already contain the meaning of very built into them. They're more efficient, more powerful, and they make you sound like you actually know what you're talking about. Here's the thing. In professional settings, in conversations with native speakers, and especially in writing, using very repeatedly makes you sound uncertain. It's like you're not confident enough to choose a strong word. When you use these amplifier words, you sound decisive and clear. The biggest mistake I see? Learners learn these words but use them in the wrong context. For example, saying I'm famished when you're just a little hungry. That's like saying you're dying of starvation when you skipped breakfast. Not quite right. Let me give you the most useful ones. Number 1, very angry becomes furious or livid. For example, when someone scratched my new car, I was absolutely furious. Not just annoyed, furious. That's next level angry. Number 2, very tired becomes exhausted. For example, after working a double shift, I was completely exhausted. This is beyond tired. This is, I could sleep for 12 hours tired. Number 3, very hot becomes boiling or scorching. For example, the weather in Dubai in July, it's scorching. We're talking 45 degrees Celsius hot, not just warm summer day hot. Number 4, very cold becomes freezing or frigid. For example, I forgot my jacket and it's freezing outside. This is, I can't feel my fingers cold. Number 5, very hungry becomes starving or famished. For example, I skipped lunch and now I'm absolutely starving. Use these when you're really hungry, not just ready for a snack. Number 6, very funny becomes hilarious. For example, that comedian last night, he was hilarious. This means you were laughing so hard you couldn't breathe. Okay, let's practice right now. I want you to think about the last time you felt really angry about something. Not just annoyed, really angry. Now, instead of saying, I was very angry, say it with me. I was furious. Or, I was livid. See how much more powerful that feels? Here's an easy way to remember these. Think of regular adjectives as being at 50 degrees on a thermometer. When you add very, you're trying to push it to 75. But these amplifier words, they're already at 100. They start at extreme, so you don't need very at all.
Let me tell you a quick story. When I first moved to England, I made a classic mistake. It was a pretty cold day, maybe 10 degrees Celsius. I walked into the office and said, "Wow, it's freezing outside." My British colleague looked at me and laughed. "Freezing? This is just a bit chilly. You should try January." That's when I learned you need to match the intensity of your word to the actual situation. Don't go nuclear when you just need a mild reaction. So here's my question for you. Which of these words do you already use? And which ones are completely new to you? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious about which words are already in your vocabulary. But here's where it gets really interesting. What about when things aren't extremely intense, but you still want to be more specific than just good or bad? That's what we're covering next. All right, so we've covered extreme feelings. But what about everyday situations where you want to be more descriptive without being dramatic? This is where precision vocabulary comes in. Native speakers love specificity. Instead of saying something is very good, they'll choose a word that tells you exactly what kind of good it is. Is it excellent quality? Is it useful? Is it beautiful? Each of these is different, and there's a perfect word for each one. This is especially important in professional English. Imagine you're in a meeting and you say, "That's a very good idea." Okay, fine. But what if you said, "That's an excellent idea," or "That's a brilliant idea," or "That's an innovative idea"? See how much more impact that has? You sound like someone who knows what they're talking about. The trap here is using formal words in casual situations. If your friend shows you a funny meme and you say, "This is magnificent," you'll sound like you're from the 1800s. Save the fancy words for when they fit naturally. Let me break down the most useful ones. Number 7, very good becomes excellent, superb, or outstanding. For example, with excellent, your presentation was excellent. For superb, the food at that restaurant was superb. For outstanding, she did an outstanding job on the project. Number 8, very bad becomes terrible, awful, or dreadful. For example, the traffic this morning was terrible. Note that dreadful is more British English. Number 9, very beautiful becomes gorgeous, stunning, or breathtaking. For gorgeous, you look gorgeous in that dress. For stunning, the view from the mountain was stunning. For breathtaking, The sunset was absolutely breathtaking. Each word has slightly different energy. Number 10. Very ugly becomes hideous or grotesque. For example, that new building downtown, honestly, it's hideous. Use these carefully. They're strong words. Number 11. Very clean becomes spotless or immaculate. For example, after the deep clean, the house was spotless. Immaculate is more formal, perfect for professional contexts. Very dirty becomes filthy. For example, the bathroom at that gas station was absolutely filthy. Let's try something. Think about your favorite restaurant or a meal you really loved. Now, don't say, the food was very good. Instead, choose, was it excellent, superb, or outstanding? For me, I'd say, the pasta at that Italian place was superb. Try it yourself right now. Say a sentence out loud using one of these words. Here's what I do. I group these words by formality level. For casual conversations, excellent, terrible, gorgeous, filthy. For professional settings, outstanding, superb, spotless, immaculate. For descriptive writing or storytelling, stunning, breathtaking, hideous, dreadful. If you match the word to the situation, you'll always sound natural. I once had a student who learned the word magnificent and got so excited about it that he used it for everything. How was your weekend? Magnificent. How's the weather? Magnificent. After a while, I had to gently tell him, magnificent is fantastic, but maybe save it for truly special things. Your Tuesday afternoon coffee probably isn't magnificent, it's just good. The lesson? Don't fall in love with one word and overuse it. Variety is key. Here's a fun challenge. Think of something you saw today and describe it using one of these advanced words instead of very good or very bad. Post it in the comments. I want to see how creative you can get. Now, you might be thinking, okay, these are great for describing things and feelings, but what about actions and abilities? Perfect question. That's exactly what we're covering next. Let's shift gears. We've talked about describing things and feelings, but what about when you want to talk about how someone does something? Like, she's very smart, or he works very hard. For abilities and actions, native speakers use adverbs and adjectives that specifically describe the way something is done. These words add color and precision that very just can't give you. This is crucial for compliments, for describing yourself in interviews, and for storytelling. When you say someone is very smart, okay, fine. But when you say they're brilliant, or clever, or sharp, now you're painting a picture. Now I can see that person in my mind. The biggest error? Using these words as compliments when they might actually be insults in context. For example, clever can sometimes mean sneaky, depending on the tone. And aggressive isn't always a compliment, even though ambitious is. Context is everything.
Here are the power words for this category. Number 13, very smart becomes brilliant, intelligent, clever, or sharp. For brilliant, she came up with a brilliant solution to the problem. For intelligent, he's an intelligent guy who thinks before he speaks. For clever, that was a clever way to fix the issue. For sharp, you have to be sharp to succeed in business. Number 14, very stupid becomes foolish or ridiculous. For example, it was foolish of me to leave my phone in the taxi. Be careful with these, they're quite harsh. Number 15, very difficult becomes challenging, arduous, or demanding. For challenging, learning Japanese is challenging but rewarding. For arduous, the hike up the mountain was arduous. For demanding, medical school is incredibly demanding. Number 16, very easy becomes simple or effortless. For simple, the recipe is simple. Anyone can make it. For effortless, she makes playing the piano look effortless. Number 17, very fast becomes rapid or swift. For example, the company's growth has been rapid in the past year. Swift is more elegant. We need a swift response to this crisis. Number 18, very slow becomes sluggish. For example, the economy has been sluggish this quarter. Also works for, I feel sluggish after eating that huge meal. Time for practice. Think about a skill you have or something you're good at. Now describe yourself using one of these words. Instead of, I'm very good at problem solving, try, I'm brilliant at problem solving, or I'm sharp when it comes to problem solving. How does that feel? More confident, right? Here's my trick for remembering these words. I associate each word with a famous person or character. Brilliant? Think Einstein. Clever? Think Sherlock Holmes. Sharp? Think a successful business person. Effortless? Think a professional dancer. When you create these mental associations, the words stick much better. I have a funny story about the word demanding. I once told someone, my boss is very demanding, thinking I was just stating a fact. But the person I was talking to immediately got concerned and asked, oh no, is he treating you badly? That's when I realized demanding can sound negative, like someone is being unreasonable. If I'd said, my job is challenging instead, it would have sounded more positive. Same idea, totally different vibe. This taught me that word choice isn't just about vocabulary, it's about the feeling you want to create. What's the skill you have that you're proud of? Describe it in the comments using one of these advanced words. I love hearing about what you're all good at, and this is great practice. All right, we're making amazing progress. But what about size and amount? What do you say instead of very big or very small? Stay with me. This next section is where things get really interesting. Let's talk about one of the most overused combinations in English, very big and very small. I hear these all the time from English learners, and I get it. They're safe, they're simple, but they're also boring. When you're describing the size of something, native speakers use specific words that immediately tell you just how big or small something is. And these words often carry emotion too. They tell you how the speaker feels about that size. This is super important for storytelling and for making your descriptions memorable. If you tell me about a very big dog, I'm imagining, I don't know, maybe a German Shepherd. But if you say a massive dog or an enormous dog, now I'm picturing something completely different. Maybe a Great Dane or a Newfoundland. The precision helps your listener see exactly what you're seeing. The trap with these words is exaggeration. If you call everything massive or tiny, people stop believing you. A big mistake isn't necessarily catastrophic. A small problem isn't necessarily minuscule. Match the word to the reality, or you'll sound like you're always being dramatic. Let me give you the essentials. Number 19, very big becomes huge, enormous, massive, or gigantic. For huge, that's a huge improvement from last month. For enormous, the elephant was enormous, bigger than I expected. For massive, There's been a massive increase in online shopping. For gigantic, the new stadium is absolutely gigantic. Number 20, very small becomes tiny, minuscule, or microscopic. For tiny, my first apartment was tiny, maybe 25 square meters. For minuscule, the font is minuscule. I can barely read it. For microscopic, the chances of that happening are microscopic. Number 21, very important becomes crucial, vital, or essential. For crucial, this meeting is crucial for the future of our company. For vital, it's vital that we finish this by Friday. For essential, good communication is essential in any relationship. These mean if you don't do this, something bad will happen. Number 22, very boring becomes dull or tedious. For dull, the lecture was so dull I almost fell asleep. For tedious, filing paperwork is tedious work. Tedious specifically means boring and time-consuming. Number 23, very interesting becomes fascinating or intriguing. For fascinating, I found the documentary about space absolutely fascinating. For intriguing, that's an intriguing theory. Tell me more. Intriguing has a mysterious quality to it.
Number 24, very sure becomes certain, positive, or confident. For certain, I'm certain she said the meeting was at 3 p.m. For positive, are you positive you locked the door? For confident, I'm confident we can finish on time. Let's practice. I want you to think about your house or apartment. Is it big or small? Now, instead of very big or very small, choose a better word. For example, my apartment is tiny, but it's cozy. Or, my house is huge, we have 5 bedrooms. Say it out loud right now. Seriously, practice makes perfect. Here's how I remember the difference between similar words. Think of intensity on a scale. Big, large, huge, enormous, gigantic. Small, little, tiny, minuscule, microscopic. Each word gets more extreme. So if something is just kinda big, use large. If it's really big, use huge. If it's insanely big, use gigantic. Match the word to the reality. I'll never forget the time I was describing my student loan debt to a friend and I said, I have a very big loan to pay off. She looked at me and said, very big? You're $50,000 in debt. That's not very big, that's enormous. She was right. I was downplaying it by using weak language. Sometimes you need a strong word to match the strong reality. That moment taught me to be more precise with my language, especially when the stakes are high. All right, your turn. What's something in your life that's extremely big or extremely small? Describe it using one of these words in the comments. I want to see your creativity. We're almost done with our list, but I've saved some really useful ones for last. What about emotions and states of being? How do you describe feeling very happy or very sad? Let's get into it. Last category. Let's talk about emotions, because this is where English really shines. We have so many specific words for different types of feelings, and native speakers use them constantly. Instead of saying very happy or very sad for every situation, you can choose words that capture the exact flavor of your emotion. Are you happy because you're excited? Because you're relieved? Because you're content? Each of these is different. Emotional precision makes you a better communicator in every situation, personal relationships, job interviews, even casual conversations.
When you can name exactly how you feel, people understand you better and connect with you more deeply. Don't use extreme emotion words for mild feelings. If you say you're devastated because your favorite show got canceled, people might think you're being sarcastic or overdramatic. Save the strong words for strong feelings. Here are the final 6 power words. Number 25, very happy becomes ecstatic, thrilled, delighted, or overjoyed. For ecstatic, when I got the job offer, I was absolutely ecstatic. For thrilled, I'm thrilled to announce that we're having a baby. For delighted, we'd be delighted to have you join us for dinner. For overjoyed, she was overjoyed to see her family after 2 years. Number 26, very sad becomes heartbroken, devastated, or miserable. For heartbroken, he was heartbroken when his dog passed away. For devastated, the team was devastated after losing the championship. For miserable, I was miserable during that job. I dreaded going to work. Number 27, very excited becomes thrilled or eager. For thrilled, the kids are thrilled about going to Disneyland. For eager, I'm eager to start my new position next month. Number 28, very worried becomes anxious, concerned, or distressed. For anxious, I'm anxious about the presentation tomorrow. For concerned, I'm concerned about my grandmother's health. For distressed, she seemed distressed when I mentioned the topic. Number 29, very scared becomes terrified or petrified. For example, I'm terrified of spiders. I can't even look at pictures of them. Petrified means so scared you can't move. I was petrified during the horror movie. Number 30, very surprised becomes astonished, amazed, or stunned. For astonished, I was astonished by how quickly she learned. For amazed, I'm amazed by the quality of this camera. For stunned, everyone was stunned by the unexpected news. Okay, final practice. Think about the last time you felt really happy about something. What was it? Now describe that feeling using one of these advanced emotion words. Instead of I was very happy, try I was thrilled, or I was ecstatic, or I was overjoyed. For emotions, I use the intensity test. Ask yourself, would I tell a stranger about this feeling, or only my best friend? Stranger-level feelings like happy, excited, or worried, use delighted, eager, or concerned. Best friend-level feelings like really happy, super excited, or very worried, use ecstatic, thrilled, or anxious. This helps you choose the right level of intensity. What's the best thing that happened to you this month? Describe how it made you feel using one of these advanced emotion words. I love hearing good news, so please share in the comments.
All right, before we wrap up, let's talk about the 3 biggest mistakes I see when learners start using these advanced words. If you avoid these traps, you'll sound completely natural. Mistake number 1, using formal words in casual conversations. This is the number 1 mistake. Incorrect example. Hey, how was your weekend? It was magnificent. Correct example. Hey, how was your weekend? It was awesome, or it was great. Save words like magnificent, immaculate, and superb for situations where they fit. With friends, stick to casual alternatives. With colleagues or in writing, bring out the fancy vocabulary. Why this happens? You learn a new word and get excited to use it. I get it. But native speakers match their vocabulary to the situation. My tip, before using an advanced word, ask yourself, would I say this to my grandmother or to my best friend? If it's best friend conversation, keep it casual. Mistake number 2,
overusing one or two words. Incorrect example. The movie was brilliant. The acting was brilliant. The ending was brilliant. Correct example. The movie was brilliant. The acting was superb. The ending was unexpected. Why this happens? You find a word you like and use it for everything. But native speakers use variety. We don't want to sound like a broken record. My tip? Learn these words in groups. If you're describing something positive, rotate between excellent, outstanding, superb, brilliant, fantastic. Variety makes you sound more fluent and natural. Mistake number 3, using the wrong intensity for the situation. Incorrect example. I'm devastated that my favorite coffee shop closed. Correct example. I'm disappointed that my favorite coffee shop closed. Another incorrect example. This is a pretty good opportunity. Correct example. This is an excellent opportunity. Why this happens? You either go too extreme or not extreme enough. Devastated is for major life events like losing a loved one, not for minor inconveniences. And pretty good undersells something that's actually really valuable. My tip? Create a mental scale for yourself. Rate the situation from 1 to 10, then choose a word that matches. 1 to 3, bad, boring, or small, use regular adjectives. 4 to 6, pretty good or bad, use good plus adverbs. 7 to 10, amazing or terrible, use the advanced words we learned today. If you avoid these 3 mistakes, you'll use advanced vocabulary like a native speaker. You'll sound natural, confident, and impressive. Wow, we covered a lot today. Let's quickly review the key takeaways. 5 main points. First, stop using very as a crutch. One powerful word beats 2 weak ones every single time. Second, match your vocabulary to the situation. Formal words for professional settings, casual alternatives for everyday conversation. Third, use specificity over vagueness. Don't just say good or bad, choose words that paint a clear picture. Fourth, build your vocabulary in groups. Learn synonyms together so you can rotate and sound more natural. Fifth, practice intensity matching. Make sure your word choice matches the actual intensity of what you're describing. Remember all 30 words we covered today? You don't have to memorize them all today. Start with 5 to 10 that feel most useful to you. Practice them until they feel natural, then add more. The goal isn't to sound fancy. The goal is to sound clear, confident, and natural. And you're well on your way. I am so proud of you for sticking with me through this entire video. Learning these 30 words is going to transform your English, but only if you actually use them. So here's your homework. Pick 3 words from today's lesson and use them in real conversations this week. Text them to friends, use them at work, say them out loud when you're talking to yourself. Hey, we all do it. Before you go, hit that like button if you found this helpful. Subscribe if you want more real English lessons that actually work. And drop a comment telling me which word you're going to start using first. And here's a little teaser. Next week, we're tackling another phrase you probably overuse, I think. I'm going to show you 20 better ways to express your opinions like a native speaker. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Until then, keep practicing, keep improving, and remember, you're not learning English, you're mastering it. I'll see you in the next video. Now go out there and sound amazing.